Hello, welcome. Today I am here with Jaycie Cormac. We're going to be speaking all about speaking. So super excited about that. This is going to be so much fun. For those of you that don't know me, I am Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at Talk Show. Listen, if you have not already subscribed to this podcast, hit that subscribe button. These podcasts, this show is guaranteed to have you thinking differently, not only about your life, but about your business. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
We have people jumping on live. Thank you so much for being here. If you are listening live, welcome. If you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. Listen, we have had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. Jaycie Cormac, talk and stage performance coach, is a powerful storyteller. Having been on stage and put people on stage most of her life, she loves to help others create captivating talks and presentations that are revolutionizing the art of public speaking. Jaycie is your go-to speaker coach when you're ready to flip the script and give a talk that's absolutely unforgettable. Super excited to have you here, lady. Oh, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today. Yay.
Yes, and I love this topic because they say speaking is the number one fear.
Yes. It's public speaking, which is also known as glossophobia. That's the phobia term. 75% of people actually have that. Now, only a much smaller percentage, less than 10%, is it extreme for. But the vast majority of people are, for the most part, still afraid to get up and speak, even in a team meeting, let alone on stage somewhere or in a setting like we're doing right now. So, yeah. And I've been one of those people, but I was little.
Yes. What are your thoughts? Just kind of like the first thing that's coming to mind right now is preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's kind of the issue, is like lack of preparing?
Honestly, I think the biggest issue is fear of rejection.
Ooh, okay.
Right? Because what if we trip up? What if we physically fall down? That's another fear. But what if we say the wrong thing, or if people don't like what we have to say? So it really is a fear of rejection. If we fall flat on our face, they're going to laugh at us. Or as women know, unfortunately, women do have a tendency, I hate to say it, but we all know it's true. You walk in the room and you go, oh my gosh, did they notice my shoes? Did I wear the right outfit? Because it does happen. And we should be collaborating and supporting each other. But unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's that judgment. So there's a really big fear of rejection. And, you know, it's one of Abraham Maslow's basic, what am I trying to say this morning? But anyways, you know, our hierarchy of needs, there it is. It escaped my brain. So one of those is the need to belong. Well, when we put ourselves out there in front of people and share our thoughts and ideas, again, if we're rejected, we don't feel like we belong.
Got it. Totally makes sense. Which is why mindset is probably so important when it comes to stage performance, because when you really love yourself, then other people's opinions don't really matter.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So when we get on stage, and yes, preparation is key, and it takes not just preparation and doing one talk, one presentation, you know, that's not going to cut it. It's repetition. It's doing something over and over so it no longer feels as scary. But when we do that, we build confidence. We learn as leaders and entrepreneurs also when we're on stage, whether it's digitally or on an actual physical stage somewhere, whether it's a small setting with a group of people or on a big theater stage, we learn how to pivot when we do make an error, or we learn how to adjust to the audience that we're speaking to. We go, oh, Bob out there, it looks like he's falling asleep. Whoops, we're not doing a good enough job. And we can make an adjustment and try to re-engage the audience. Of course, my whole purpose is to keep people engaged from the beginning, but sometimes it happens. And so when you're aware and pay attention, then you can learn how to acclimate to the audience. You can learn how to engage with them. And you do build confidence when you can captivate an audience's attention and maintain it and just get them on the edge of their seat and get those applause at the end. There's that feel good feeling that happens, but it builds confidence. It builds a skill set in us of being able to be quick on our feet, make adjustments at the last minute. So those are huge factors as well.
Just from listening to all of this, it sort of seems like anyone can learn to do this.
I would agree. I do think that there are certainly those of us that are natural to just stepping up on stage. But I wasn't one of those little girls that are one of those little kids that's just on stage from the moment, yay, whatever, and just always wanting to just show off in front of everybody or perform or whatever. I was the little girl in first grade. And back in those days, this is the 70s, you guys, I'm a Gen Xer. So when I'm in front of maybe we had a big class, like 30 kids in my first grade class. So I was 6 years old. We were supposed to be doing a little play of the Three Billy Goat Scruff just in front of our classmates. I had a paper bag mask over my head because I was one of the goats. And all I had to say were 3 words. 3 words! Let me pass. I couldn't do it. And I was 6, I'm 52 now. And so it's been 46 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
And it feels like it was yesterday. It was very traumatizing. Tears just rolled down my face. I was frozen. I couldn't say anything. Nothing. And everybody's staring at me, which, mind you, kind of established my, school life. I was bullied. Now I ended up being a cheerleader and things like that. But I was still, but cheerleading, when you have to try out to be a cheerleader, guess what you have to do? You got to get up in front of everybody and you have to speak because you have to put yourself out there and let them judge you and perform a cheer and be loud. And so I was a young teenager. And that was when that same year, my dance instructor asked me to begin to assistant teach with her. So not only had I been on stage, to be honest, from the time I was 7. So within a year of me freaking out in the classroom, I ended up being on stage, but having to speak didn't happen until I was about 13, 14. And then cheering and assistant teaching dance, it was that repetition even more of speaking in front of people. And I eventually was no longer afraid of it.
Yeah. I really like this kind of journey that you're showing of, yes, that one little mishap at 6, but then getting on the stage and not using your words, but just getting used to being on stage and then eventually speaking is a really interesting, it kind of reminds me of my own YouTube story of not wanting to be on YouTube. So started off, I was in the health and wellness industry 10 plus years ago, and I started off just putting the camera at the blender or at the food when I was making it, and it would just show my hand. And then it moved to my body, more of my body, but I still wasn't speaking. And I did that for dozens of videos before I actually started like saying words as a nice little way to warm up versus just like, feeling all of the anxiety and all of the pressure of just, not that we all have that, that opportunity to do that. Sometimes speaking just comes your way and you have to grab it, but
that's so true. And the other thing too, there are people that are very comfortable, or at least more comfortable, getting up in a physical setting and speaking than getting on camera. And for some reason, camera freaks a lot of people out. So there are those different aspects and there's different ways to do that. But it really does come down to having the confidence and, like I said, the repetition and knowing who you are as a speaker. So that's where I pull in what I developed are the speaker archetypes. And an archetype is really kind of your speaking personality, the way that you present to other people. If we go back far enough, when I was in graduate school, I studied Carl Jung, which is kind of the father of transpersonal psychology, but he basically coined the term archetype, and it is a model or a way of being, a pattern of behavior. So when, for example, I always say I'm a maverick because I am. But a maverick, if we think about it, it's kind of rebellious. It's not quite the same thing as a rebel, but we do things differently. We don't follow the status quo. We kind of challenge that. And so knowing who you are and knowing your speaker archetype, but knowing how you approach the audience also helps you present. It makes a difference because then you are able to craft your talk. Often you need the help of a coach, which is totally cool. And that's why I'm here. And then that helps you know how to do that and share that with your audience. And of course, knowing your audience. Because if you have this great talk to share and you're super excited and passionate about your topic, but if it doesn't fit, just as a really general concept here, a corporate setting, then you don't want to go give it in front of a more staid corporate setting, right? It doesn't make sense because you're not going to feel accepted. They're not going to be engaged and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% it makes sense. One of the things that's kind of coming to me while you are speaking here is a lot of times people come into people are listening to this podcast right now. We have a ton of people right now listening live. Thank you so much for being here. They're listening, right? They're like, okay, Jaycie, I hear you. I'm grasping it, but like, I just can't.
Yeah.
This whole, like, I can't do it. What is your thoughts? What is the mindset that you use yourself or that you teach your clients regarding like, it's just not a thing. Like, what kind of speaker, this or that? I'm not any of those. Like, I just literally can't do this. What would you
Well,
say to those individuals?
here's the deal, Sabrina. Some people can't, and
Mm,
that's okay. If speaking is not for you, then hello, we need to find something else, a different way for you to share your message because it's not for everybody, right? It's just not. And if it completely puts you into panic, may feel like too strong of a term, but for others, panic is going to feel that way. Just as I said, when I was, and I know I was little and I overcame it because I wanted it so badly. And that's what made me do it because I made the choice that no matter what, I was going to be on stage because I wanted it for me. It wasn't even about acceptance at that point. It was about what I wanted. And when we want it badly enough, when we have a fire burning so powerfully in our gut, we can find a way to make it happen. But if we're like, oh, hell no, that is not going to freaking happen, then that's okay. Not everybody needs to be on stage, right? If everybody could be a freaking powerful rock star on stage, well, it wouldn't seem like such a cool thing, right?
yeah, but what about those who lead for their maybe they're not on a large stage, but what if they're leaders in their industry? What if they have to speak in front of their sales office of 12 people?
So with
What do you say
that,
to those people?
there are definitely techniques to help learn how to harness, if you will, which is kind of a overused term probably anymore online, but really getting a handle on your nervous energy because excitement and nervousness are the same energy. So
Mm.
when you learn how to use it and how to figure out what to do with those butterflies, that can help you get up there and talk. Being really prepared because when we are nervous or overexcited, we absolutely can forget what we're going to talk about. But also building confidence in general in whatever way you need to do it. So if you are lacking some confidence of being able to get up there and do it, then we need to go build confidence somewhere else first in your life. And as you mentioned, that love or like for yourself, preferably love for yourself, but you have to be like, it's okay. If you screw up and say the wrong thing and you look stupid, oh well. Does it really matter? I mean, seriously, in the grand scheme of things, if we fall on our face and look freaking stupid, does it really matter? No, get up and laugh it off. It's okay. So whether it's physically falling down or and what pops into my head here, there's I hate to say it, but I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, but she keeps popping up in my TikToks for some reason. And I saw a video on her the other day where she actually stepped on one of her backup dancers' foot or something during a live concert. And she just just looks at him after, she's, oh my gosh, are you okay? And you can hear it. And then they just go on. So it's just something that when we make those mistakes, we just have to be like, it's okay. And again, the more we do something, the less difficult it becomes. We become more accustomed to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's where that whole repetition that you were talking about, practice. Somewhere I had heard to practice until it bores you. Is that a thing? Did I just make that up?
I don't know if you made it up. I haven't heard it, but I will say this. I trained a few years ago, heavily in martial arts. I was doing jujitsu. It was kind of therapy for me after a divorce, a really ugly one. And that brought my confidence back, which was clearly, in a sense, it was being on stage because you're being judged by your teammates and other people watching you and the instructor teaching you. And I was out of my element. This was not something I had ever done. So, and I was training with a bunch of guys, a couple of girls, but almost all men. So tiny little me, it was really out of my element. And in that, I asked so many questions and just like, but you know what, Sabrina, I lost my train of thought. Where are we going? What did you ask?
We were
Bruce Lee. Got it. Sorry. My ADHD brain kicked in. See, it's okay to screw up.
Yeah.
But Bruce Lee used to have this thing that he did, or I don't remember, I'm going to butcher the quote, but if you know 10,000 kicks, you're not a master of those. But if you do one kick 10,000 times, you are masterful at that one kick. So is it boring? I don't know if it gets to the point of being boring, but practice it over. You do it over and over and over. And yes, you're going to become a master at that. You absolutely are. Does that kind of make sense there? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that I would get bored. See, I think that's the thing. I don't think if I love it enough, I'm not going to get bored with it.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense 100%. So I know you specialize in signature talks to captivate the audience. I know you use unconventional techniques.
Yeah. So when we think of, obviously for the last, decade or more, the big thing is like, oh, I want to do a TED Talk. I want to do a TED Talk. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to freak y'all out. I really don't care if I ever do a TED Talk. And the reason is because I'm so sorry. My text messages are going off. I apologize. They're attached to my computer and I didn't get that shut down. So with a TED Talk, there's a level of conformity because there is a structure to the way those are basically handled. There's a similarity to all TED Talks, right? There's just a format. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not my style. And we also, I want you to think about how often you've been maybe in a meeting at a work or just wherever you've seen a presentation. Maybe it has been a video, probably not a TED Talk. They're usually pretty interesting, but just something. And you're like, oh, and you just can't wait till she's done talking. I call those the bore and snore, right? You're boring the audience. And if you're not careful, they're going to be snoring. So because of my theatrical background, and because one of my archetypes is not only a storyteller, but an entertainer, it's about really getting your audience engaged, literally getting them on the edge of their seat where they can't wait to hear the next thing you have to say. So when you have whatever your message is, whatever your brand is, you need, if you're going to go out and speak about it, and this isn't necessarily paid speaking, this is a huge marketing tool for you when you can go out and do free speaking or do a podcast like we're doing today and having this opportunity. So when you have something specific that you want to talk about, then you need a talk crafted around that and utilizing your stories and weaving them in a way that doesn't bore people, but gets them to feel that emotional connection. And depending on your personality, for me, it's about making people laugh and smile. I'm not one to usually try to make people, or I don't want to say try, but share a story that's going to make them tear up, right? It's just not that type of emotional connection. So having that, and this idea that came to me this last summer, so summer of 2023, I had decided that I wanted to also put together a big mastermind and a retreat at the end of it where we have crafted their really fun get on stage, not just the talk, but this presentation that implements, pardon me, some other type of performance act facet to it, right? Depending on what they do, it doesn't have to be dance. That was my background. Maybe they want to add some comedy into it. Who knows? But shortly, within a few weeks of me deciding, oh, I'm going to start working on this. And anybody that knows theater knows we don't say good luck, we say break a leg. I literally stepped in a hole, thanks to my dog and a pig anyway, and broke my leg like severely. Ended up with surgery and off of it for 3 months completely. So knowing how to bring those stories in at the right time, knowing how to entertain or share in the way and connect on an emotional level with your audience with merged into your story is vital, depending on what we want to do with it.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. What are your thoughts as far as using AI to create a signature talk?
Well, first of all, you need to know how to teach your AI to speak in your brand voice. And I want to, and which I've learned how to do. And of course, AI is constantly going to be changing. We are in the very pioneering type of stages of it, right? So it's really fun and it's super cool. I have fallen in love with it. But it's a brainstorming assistant. AI is really just this really freaking cool assistant that you have at your fingertips that can help you do amazing things and outline your talk. And yes, if you have it fleshed out enough, which is kind of that's kind of a weird way to say that for artificial intelligence, but that's what popped into my head, but really have helped it understand your brand voice, then it can give you not word for word your talk, but it can absolutely totally help you set up your whole talk. I'm not one to stick to the script, but I know a lot of people need to get it for themselves to feel confident. That may be their style, to get it pretty well memorized and stick to that script pretty closely. So still making sure that you're going back and working with AI and, just going through it and then asking it more questions. And it's not just about asking prompts, which there are things out there. If any of us have been on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, we see the ads, right? For, oh, you can get 1,000 prompts, which is great, but you still have to have your brand voice taught to it. So I use ChatGPT. There are others, of course. Google's getting ready to release Gemini and so forth, more available to more people. But there's tons of AI tools now. ChatGPT is far from the only one. So that's just my favorite. And I create the majority of my images from ChatGPT because it uses my brand colors and it'll pull up phoenix, and tiger lilies and just run with my brand and understand that Maverick, little bit of rebellious side. So
yeah, your website's really pretty.
Thank you. But I am all for it. But we do need guidance on that. And it's a learning curve. And what I know, I share with people and I help them use it. But we're all learning that because it is new.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. What are your thoughts as far as, we were talking about being on stage, we're talking about storytelling, and you had mentioned bore and snore.
Bore and snore. Yeah, bore and snore. Yeah. They're bored and they're like,
yes, I totally get it. And I've been there during spiels before. I just did a TED and 2 months ago. And yeah, there was one or two where I was like over it. But how does somebody ignite? Like, is there a trick? Is there like a little nugget of information that you could share with us to ignite, some sort of excitement from the audience?
So first of all, know your audience, because if you don't know who you're talking to, first of all, what's the point? I just had a colleague reach out to me a week or so ago, And she said, would you mind, Jaycie, just skimming through this talk I put together and just see what your thoughts are? And I skimmed through it and I'm like, who's she talking to? And it wasn't her fault. I reached back out to her and that's what I asked her. And that particular organization wouldn't even respond to her question as to who she was talking to. And I was like, girl, if it were me, I wouldn't spend my time on it. Because if I don't know who I'm talking to, I don't know how to approach them. I don't know how to adjust, to a point, my energy and my stories to get them on the edge of their seat. I need to know who they are. Are they guys, for that matter, which I know we're all women here, right? But if I'm talking to a group of guys, I'm going to talk a little bit differently because, hey, it's just different.
Totally.
We shift our energy. You know that. You used to work a lot with men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very different.
It is very different. And I had to adjust when I started speaking to all women. It's been a huge adjustment.
Yeah, we can be more emotional for just on the short of it, more emotional with women. With the guys, we need to be a little bit more to the point. Yeah. Even a little more in their face than with the women. With women, I think we need to be, depending on the women, right? So again, you got to know who you're talking to. You absolutely do. I can't go speak to a bunch of millennials in the same way that I talk to my fellow Gen Xers. Yeah. And my kids are, well, I've got a Gen Zer too, but I have a millennial son and daughter-in-law. So there's you just think a little differently. So first and foremost, know your audience, but you have to know your style, your topic, because when you do hit that bump, you've got to be able to shift. If you stumble over yourself and get all like nervous and afraid, and again, as we talked earlier, it does come with practice and building confidence in whatever way. But if you aren't coming out confident and excited and passionate about what you're talking about, you've already kind of lost them. Yeah. And if you don't know who they are and how you need to do it, right? Yeah. So, but being different and finding that thing, I don't expect anybody else to do this. In fact, I don't even do it anymore, but probably 10, 12 years ago, I don't know, something like that. For a while there, what I would do is I would wear my cute little heels, which you don't usually see me in heels on stage anymore. I just don't even bother. But I would wear my little heels and look all pretty and get up on stage. When I got on stage, I literally would make a point of taking my shoes off. And I got known as the barefoot mentor or whatever because it was different and I stood out. And there's stories around that. So finding that thing, that story, there are 7 different types of stories when we're talking about brand storytelling that we can actually share. One of the more well-known ones is kind of that hero journey, right? Which I mentioned at the beginning, being scared to death. I couldn't speak. And then here I am now, and I'll be on any stage at any given moment. So that's kind of that hero's journey a little bit. So, but knowing which stories to use when and where is also going to make a big difference into how you captivate your audience. And then if you have that in you, that you can do the more entertainment side of it a little bit, whatever it is, or use AI. Oh my gosh, that's even a fun one to do. Literally have AI, like you're having a conversation with AI on stage in front of people. You're asking her or him questions. So it's just something different and unique that people are curious about, and they will stay engaged and perhaps, hopefully, physically on the edge of their seat.
Yes. Yes. I actually did see a talk where somebody was interacting with AI on stage. That was a thing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just really neat.
Yeah. And as far as knowing your audience, that is 100%. And 100% you speak differently depending. You can't have a blanket. You have to tweak it depending on the audience. Mm-hmm. Even the way you introduce yourself.
Oh yeah. How do I want to say that? There's a couple of things because of my ADHD. There's a million thoughts in my head, you guys. But when we walk into the store and when we're open to having conversation with people, in a sense, we're on stage. I did it yesterday. I was in the grocery store and someone said to me, oh, I don't even know how we got to this, but I made a comment about my company. And she said, wait, what do you do? And I told her I'm a speaker coach and that I work with women leaders and entrepreneurs. And I just left it at that. because it's outside of the online world. And so I just made it very concise and as clear and straight to the point as possible. And she said, "Oh, I need your phone number. I just need to talk to you." So you never know when a potential client's around the corner or who you might inspire just because of the passion you have for your topic and something that you might say about it. So in a sense, we're always on stage.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this has been absolutely enlightening. I so appreciate all this goodness. We have a ton of people watching. They're obviously resonating with all the goodness. This is a hot topic. I would love for you to, obviously, we have a really good idea of what you do, but if you could give us a little more in depth of what you do, who you help, who should be reaching out to you?
Though I always say that I work and I focus on women leaders and entrepreneurs, I've had a lot of male clients as well over the years. So, but for the most part, I've always been about empowering other women and girls, for that matter, to really have their confidence to get up and speak and just share their story and their message. Even back in the days when I owned my dance studio, that wasn't necessarily about speaking, but it was about getting up on stage and empowering them. And that I've had so much feedback about some of those now women up in their even early 40s that just have the confidence and were able to lead their teams and speak in front of their teams for the Tommy Hilfiger company, and just a long, long list of things. So what I do, I do right now, which I hadn't done for so long, but I am doing one-on-one coaching again. And we sit down and we really go through, I'm going to help you figure out your speaker archetypes. We have a really fun assessment. It's really quick and easy. And then we're going to have that conversation so I truly get to understand who my client is. And then we're going to work together. And yes, I'm going to bring AI into it because, like I said, it's this really fun brainstorming assistant. So it helps me, it helps them. It's just a blast. And we then begin to develop their talk. And mind you, sometimes people just need the talk like, well, I don't know what I would just say on a podcast interview. So even preparing their topic for a podcast interview and having those talking points and potential questions, that's really important because it makes it easier for the host, right? So when you know what the heck we're going to talk about, and they're more apt to even invite us on then. So those things are important, but getting that signature talk together so that you can go out and speak and having it in a way that you can shorten it. So if you have a 15-minute talk, or being able to really have a longer one and know how to embellish on a lot more of it and go more in depth because maybe you've got an hour on stage. So knowing how to do all of those things, and how do we do it a little differently on video? Because that gets into, a little bit of the facial expressions and things versus being on stage. Now we have all of our body language to think about if we're in physical face-to-face, right?
Yeah.
So just really, it's very bespoke, right? It's very personalized. And that's why right now I am doing that one-to-one. But that big retreat, that mastermind / retreat's coming. And I looking forward to doing that because that is going to be a lot of fun to get a community together where there's a lot of support and everybody's ideas come together. And we get to craft their talk and then what that performance aspect of it is. And then actually at the retreat, we do all kinds of fun stuff. Obviously, it's a retreat, but at the end, we get to do a rehearsal and then get to do a show. And so those first cohorts of that, I am not looking to do on the big stage, though that's going to happen again because I miss being in the big venue and putting on big shows. But I think it's really important for those that are trying to gain the confidence to get up there and speak, to have a small group that they can get up in front of. So it's no more than 6 or 10 people. So those are the two big things that I'm doing right now and I'm super excited about.
That's awesome. Sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. Think giant pajama party when we do the show, right?
Yes. I just love big visions. I love entrepreneur businesswomen who have a vision, who have a goal, who are working towards something. And I think that just creates so much vigor and vim and excitement and razzle dazzle towards your company and your brand. I just love it. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Where can people find you? Website, social media?
The Maverick Collective. So that's the website. I'm on LinkedIn. That's just under Jaycie Cormac. I'm on LinkedIn a lot more probably than anywhere else, but I am on Facebook. I really don't do a whole lot. I haven't done anything on the personal side, sharing my business on my personal page on Facebook, but it's Jaycie Cormac, and I do have a Facebook group. So if somebody wants to reach out to me on Facebook, yes, you guys, I'm on Instagram. I know we're on Instagram too, but we can't be on every social media platform, right? Again, it's about knowing our voice and our audience. So I don't really do much on that one, but LinkedIn and Facebook, those are the two easiest way to find me and collect. I was thinking about the website, and connect. And of course, the maverickcollective.com.
Yeah, totally. I tell people that all the time. It's like we're getting pulled in so many different directions. There's not even enough time to make money, it's like, or to have clients. It's like we're just on all the social media all day. It's like, when are you supposed to have clients? So I tell people all the time, it's like, if you don't have at least 2 or 3 VAs working for you, you only need to be on 1 or 2 social medias.
Exactly.
There's not enough time. Like you have to put your endeavors towards money-making activities, phone calls, networking, and then actually taking care of your clients,
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We're not social media creators.
No.
We just have to market ourselves. Well, this has been absolutely great. I so appreciate everything that you shared. I took a ton of notes. I hope you guys did too, or you ladies did too. What else? We have a ton of people listening. If you are resonating with Jaycie and all the goodness that she shared, make sure to check out her website, themaverickcollective.com. It is in a clickable link in the description wherever you're watching us at. She predominantly hangs out on LinkedIn and Facebook. And that's pretty much about it. We thank you so much. Jaycie, any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I would just say that because it's so important to me that, and I've been in the coaching world, well, really since I was 18. So long time, right? I said I was 52. So when Tony Robbins first founded life coaching, or, became the father of it in that sense, I've kind of coached all along, right? Not too far behind him, which is really fun. But because of spending all that time in the coaching world, I have seen, and I'm sure a lot of us have, where there are amazing, phenomenal coaches. And sometimes and I've done it myself. I've invested, oh my gosh, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But not everybody that has a fantastic message and just knowledge and experience that they have to share, not everybody has that level where they can invest to get started. So as we head into 2024, I actually am doing things at a very, very low investment. So, to work with me personally is not the big numbers that I would normally do. And I'm doing it because for me, it's about giving back as well, because I want to see more women build their confidence and have that freedom to do the things that they want to do. And Sabrina, I know you have one hell of a story from years ago, because I read that recently about you. I certainly have some of my own stories. And so I think for me, it's really about empowering other women and giving them that leg up, if you will. And so that it's affordable, but still like rock star quality. So that's all I want to say on that.
Beautiful. Well, this has been a delight. I so thank you for taking some time out of your day to sit down, hang out with us, and share some of these gems with us. And this is the end of yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you, Jaycie. Again, to our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us into the very end. We appreciate you. Remember to follow, like, and share. And once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way by having conversations just